Good morning, students. Today we will start with the 100 chapter 6, that is the 100 races part 2. Now in this is the second part of the story where Vanda leaves the school without any prior information. She does not even attend the school and she was being announced a winner of the drawing contest which was there in previous part. Her father writes a letter to Miss Mason about the reason over here. The student feels ashamed for their behavior, especially Peggy and Maddie. They both realize their mistake and they write a letter to Vanda in a friendly manner. Vanda replies and requests Miss Mason to give her two drawings to Peggy and Maddie. So this is what the chapter sketch is, which is there in part 2. Over here, again, the characters are Vanda Petronsky, a poor Polish girl, and then we have the Peggy, who is always teasing Vanda. She is the popular girl in the school. Then we have Maddie, her friend, Peggy's friend, who is not as rich as Vanda. She is also of poor, from a poor background, but she never boasts like Vanda that she has 100 dresses or 60 pairs or like that. Then we have Miss Mason, the class teacher of their class, and then Mr. Petronsky, who's Vanda's father over here. Now, this particular character has been entered into the story now. Let's go through the reading. While the class was circling the room, the monitors from the principal office brought Miss Mason a note. So the class monitor brings a note for the class teacher from principal office. Miss Mason read it several times and studied it thoughtfully for a while. She was having that paper and she was reading it to herself first, and she was reading it, and for several times she read it, and then after reading it, then she clapped her hands. Now when everyone is talking and simply doing the gossiping in the class and everyone is talking, so the teacher simply claps like this and she said, attention class, everyone back to their seats. Now when the shuffling of the feet has stopped. Shuffling of the feet means when you are getting back to your seats, your legs are making the noise, your feet are making the noise on the floor. So this is what the shuffling means. We are beating the floor by the feet. And then what happened is, and the room was now quiet and still. Miss Mason said, I have a letter from Vanda's father that I want to read to you. She's saying that she is having a letter that was given from Vanda's father, has submitted a letter to principal, and I need to read that letter to you. And now, what was that? Miss Mason stood there for a moment, and silence in the room grew tense and expectant. Now, everyone is seeing what's going to happen, what is there in the letter. Everyone is silent, everyone is tensed about that letter. The teacher adjusted her glasses slowly. Teacher is wearing the glass, so she adjusted her glasses slowly, and deliberately she is doing so to make everyone look concentrated, and everyone is so desperate to listen to her. Her manner indicated that what was coming. This letter from Vanda's father was a matter of great importance. Now, her behavior, the body language of a teacher was literally like that, as a very important matter is about to be discussed over here now. Everybody listen closely as Miss Mason read the brief note. There is a very short note, as you can see in the picture. There's a very short note, and what is everyone is saying over here? Listen closely means listening with attention. Dear teacher, my Vanda will not come to your school anymore. So, dear teacher, my Vanda, my daughter Vanda will not be coming to your school anymore. She will not be coming to school. And Jake also, his brother. Now we move away to big city. Now we are shifting to a big city. No more holler Polak. I'll explain this sentence to you, which is very important. No more holler Polak. No more ask why funny name. Nobody will ask why funny name. Plenty of funny names are there in the big city. We are living in a very small city, and here my Vanda, people think that Vanda Petronsky is having a different kind of a name. It is unusual name and they make fun of her. Now we are going to a big city where there will be n number of funny names. So nobody will be concentrated only towards Vanda. No more holler polak. Holler polak means crying. Holler means crying, and polak means meaningless word. It is polak doesn't mean anything. It's a meaningless word, but it's suggesting anger. That crying anger of the parent, the crying anger of Jan Petronsky, and crying of that girl's name out of everyone is doing it. Everyone is funny, making fun of her. So this is what the parent told to the teacher, that now my Vanda will not be coming up to your school anymore, and my son Jake also. Now we are moving to a big city. We are shifting towards a big city. It's not that they have become rich and they are shifting on a leverage. No, they are genuinely shifting towards a big city. Maybe they will be their living will like be that only. But yes, wherever the Vanda will be going, joining in a new school, there will be n number of people like that. It's not that only Vanda will be a particular person. There must be other poor persons also who must have come up in the same school. So there will be plenty of funny names in the big city. Yours truly, Jan Petronsky. A deep silence met the reading of this letter. Miss Mason took off her glass. She blew them off and wiped them off her soft white handkerchief. There was a deep silence, which was there in between the reading of the letter. Now, when the letter was read, then what Mr. Mason, she took off her glasses, she blew them off, she just, with her mouth, she blew them off, and then she wipes the glasses with her soft white handkerchief, and then she put them on again and looked at class. She looked towards the class. When she spoke, her voice was low. I am sure that none of the boys and girls in room 13 would purposely and deliberately hurt anyone's feelings. So, what is she saying? She's saying, I am sure that none of the boys and the girls in this room 13 would purposely, deliberately, purposely, deliberately hurt anyone's feelings because of his or her name that happened to be a long and unfamiliar one. I don't think so that these boys and girls would have said purposely to anyone. Deliberately, nobody would have told. There must be some kind of joke, I guess, but not deliberately that you people are taunting on someone on her long and unfamiliar name. I prefer to think that what was said in thoughtlessness. Now, what I'm thinking is that the parent has not thought about it. Maybe you people have joked, one of you have joked, and that it's thoughtlessness. It's thoughtlessness means it's carelessness, I guess. I know all of you feel the way I do. All of you are feeling like the way I do, and this is very unfortunate thing to have happened. Now we are very unlucky to have this kind of a girl in our school now. That has happened. Unfortunate and sad both. And I want you all to think about it. Now I want you all to think about this stuff. The first period was a study period. So Maddie tried to prepare her lessons, but she could not put her mind on work. Now the room number 13, the people over there, the students over there, their mind has been disturbed, and probably Peggy and Maddie must have been disturbed with this because they were the one mostly who used to continuously every time just put Vanda into the bars, into their thoughts, and then they every time they tease her. The first period is having a study period after the class teacher went off, and they tried to prepare their lessons. Maddie tried, but she could not put her mind on work. She's not able to concentrate basically. She had a very sick feeling in the bottom of her stomach. So in the bottom of the stomach, it's not that she's having that, but she's having a feeling. She's having that feeling of badness, that feeling that she cannot do anything. True that she had not enjoyed listening to Peggy ask Vanda how many dresses she had in her closet, but she said nothing. It's not that when Peggy was asking these things to Vanga, she enjoyed it. No, she didn't enjoy it. But she hadn't said anything. She hadn't said nothing also. She stands silently by her, and that was just as bad as Peggy has done. So when you do something bad, you see something getting worse and bad over there. There is someone is behaving very bad with other person, and you are standing beside that person who is doing so. You are also with the same fault the other person is. So over here also, Maddie is also being the same person, is also being considered as Peggy only, because she has not said anything. And that is worse, she was a coward. Then she had stood silently, just as bad as was Peggy has done. She was a coward. At least Peggy hadn't considered they were being mean. But Maddie had thought that they were doing wrong. Peggy, she didn't even realize that they are being very mean, they are doing something bad. No, Maddie realized, Maddie had thought that they are doing wrong. But still she didn't spoke anything. She could put herself in Vanda's shoes. She used to put herself in Vanda's shoes, that if this is going to happen to me, what I'll do. But no, goodness, wasn't there anything she could do? If only she could tell Vanda she hadn't meant to hurt her feelings. She turned around and stole a glance at Peggy, but Peggy didn't look up. Now what is she thinking of in her own mind? Wasn't there anything what she could do? Wasn't there anything that Maddie could have done? If she could have done that, wasn't there anything that Maddie could have done? And if she could have done that, she would have been done something better for this. She could have been answering, she could have been thinking of, she could have been just said no, or she shouldn't have been involved in this stuff. So these were the thoughts that were running into the mind of Maggie, and Maggie glanced towards Vanda. Sorry, Peggy behind her. She just took a glance of her, that, and then she turned forward. She again turned forward. So why she turned forward? But because Peggy didn't realizes it. Peggy didn't look up. She seemed to be studying hard, well, whether Peggy felt badly or not. She, Maddie, had to do something. She had to find Vanda Petronsky. But now Peggy felt very badly about it.